But no, the reason why I left her I left her from the word Jump Street is because she was under investigation for the first one.
Oh wow!
Yep.
So she had allegations from when you were with her of being unfaithful with somebody
Well,
underage.
It came down to where they had to do
I would be a horrible lawyer. I'm like fucking so surprised at this shit. I should be like, I guess I have to host. No, keep going.
Well, it got down to the point to where they had to do a DNA test while the child was still in the womb.
Say that one more time.
It came down to where a DNA test had to be done on the 16-year-old, the first one. A DNA test had to be done with the child still in the womb.
Question: did you do it on Maury?
No.
Oh, that would have been a good opportunity.
But the child came back to be mine, and she wound up, I think, what was it, probation and under YO status, which is useful offender, because she was only 18.
So she was maybe, was the mother, she was very young in all of this as well?
Yeah, she was 18.
So how old was she last year?
Well, she was 18 in 2016, so fuck if I know. In her 20s.
So 25, 26?
Yeah. And the first one got put under youthful offender status, and I believe she was put on.
What is that? What is that, by the way?
Youthful offender means basically your first charge gets put under lock and key. Your very first, before you're 21, wrong, it gets put under. If you catch a charge before you're 21, they can put, and it's your first one, they can put it under lock and key, aka youthful offender.
No one can pull it up.
Okay.
Nobody can pull it up because you're a minor.
I see what you're saying.
All right. Okay. I mean, it's
like a mulligan of sorts for a young offender.
Just so you know, New York's fucked up.
Yeah, I understand they have all these liberalized globalist ideal. I get it. I get what they're doing. They're a little different.
Yeah. New York's twisted in.
They're like an East Coast neocon liberal type scenario. I understand it's a little different. And they have all these little loopholes to hide under.
Yeah, that's why when people are asking me questions about like my brother, it's difficult for me to explain it if you're not from around here.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like you're trying to deflect. I get it. I get what you're doing. I get what's up. So what's going on in this scenario with your ex then? So your daughter went to a new family.
I was in jail. Our daughter wound up going to a friend of hers family. And they had joint custody and everything established through court before I got out of jail. And then she dipped off the radar. After I got out, she completely dipped off the radar. So I couldn't find her, but when I did, she would blah, anything she could. And then I wound up taking the people that my daughter lived with currently to court, getting joint custody, and basically explaining to the people she's with how physical custody works. Because they didn't know. And I said, basically, you have physical.
So you can represent your child in that scenario from a legal standpoint? You can still represent your child in that scenario?
Yes. If with any court proceedings or anything that pertains to like surgery, stuff like that, I have to be notified, and I can go right then and there. Listen, that's just the way upstate New York is. It's one big Jerry Springer show up here.
Well, right? I appreciate it in the fact that they're not denying like a caring the parent of a child to have some sort of say in a process that's otherwise faithless. Do you know what I mean? Like there's always an open door to an exception type of thing, and it's not set in concrete because that's where so much injustice happens historically.
Yeah.
So they're trying to offset that. I get what they're doing. I'm just trying to follow it as you're explaining. I know.
Right. But the thing about that is all right, the baby mama put it in these guys' head that I was a very evil person. Where would
they get that idea from, I wonder?
Because I told her, because there were several times she got on the wrong side of me, and I told her straight up, keep fucking with me and see what I'm gonna do.
And what did you end up doing?
Gone. Going back to my place and drinking.
So nothing ever really came of it in that sense.
It was basically empty.
Yeah, you're just having a back and forth. You're intimidating her in that sense.
Because she'd come out of her mouth with fucking something stupid, and it's like, bro, really? Like, why am I going to deal with your fucking drama?
Yeah, it's just a conflict you're having.
Yeah.
Explaining the crux.
Yeah, so basically what I do is I turn around and keep telling her, stop, keep fucking with me, see what I'm going to do. And then I just go home and get fucking drunk. Or high. One of the two.
So self-harm. You self-harmed in that sense.
I just wanted to forget the drama and have fun.
Yeah. But that's what psychologically was the next step for you.
Love you.
I love you, baby.
So self-harmed is the way that I think that they look at it now. Not, you don't even have to agree with that. Just a psychological, I believe, perspective. A psychological perspective.
Right.
Not necessarily the right one.
Right. But you see, all right, when it comes down to that, to my 9-year-old, I can make a phone call and I can go see her at any point I want. But given that child, okay, is part of after school programs, goes on vacations out of state, living life to the fullest. Like, I had a chance at court to nail them to the wall for what was it? It was failure to file for a new court order because I was established through the courts, even though DNA already I was established through the courts, even though DNA already was established when the child was 9 months old. I was established through the courts as dad in 2019, and they never fixed the court order. I could have taken the child from them, and I didn't.
Well, how much time do you spend around your daughter? Like, does she know you?
Yes, she knows me. She knows me, my wife, my other 2 kids here. She knows her.
Like, how much time are you able to spend with her? Do you spend as much time with her as you possibly can?
Yes.
Like, it seems like you have like an open house. Like, there's a lot going on around there.
Yes.
There's a family there to blend into and spend time with. Like, your daughter has kids to play with. There's all sorts of things to do.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not exactly easy because the child's very busy.
So if I asked your wife right now, would she say that you were an okay dad or a great dad?
Actually, repeat that one more again. She's just in the other room.
What's your wife's name?
Alisa.
Hey, Alisa, if I had to ask you to rate Andrew as a father around your kids, would you rate him, around an okay dad or a great dad on the spectrum?
He's an average dad. The kids will tell you he's a horrible dad because he believes in discipline and taking things.
Yeah.
But he's your average dad.
I mean, I come from a street life into a family life overnight, quite literally. So
the way that you would describe it, Andrew, is that you've kind of been iced out in all of these situations to a degree, because in the legal system, when people get into trouble, like, how much of a say does dad, who's not necessarily raising the child at that point in time, how much leeway are you going to have?
Not actually. If you go recently, in these recent years, they just started implicating dads actually have the same amount of rights as mothers do, because before that it was, if mom takes dad to court, mom instantly will get custody. Fuck what dad has to say. But in the recent years, it's come down to where now if dad has something to say and fight for custody, it's actually a legit custody battle, not just a one-sided where mom will always win.
They actually take into account that dads can be.
But so you've got 4 different baby mamas in that sense.
Yeah,
Has it been okay to deal with them all?
Allison and I were okay close to her end. We weren't exactly besties, because I really couldn't forgive her for what she did. And I look at it more and more. I was just recently talking to somebody about that, more about the choice she made to leave state without legal permission. I looked closely into that and I figured out some things, and that's for a later on conversation. But close to her end, her and I were okay. We were talking, we were, getting along, and that's about all I can say for Hunter's mother. Now, my 18 and 17-year-old's mother, I don't know where she is. I could care less. Not to sound cold-hearted, but I hope she drops soon.
Well, let's talk about Allison for a second. Do you remember it wasn't too long ago that you talked about Allison in a way that wasn't very becoming, let's say, in the early part of the case? Like you had a very strong opinion against Allison.
Yep.
When did that change?
It never has. I just chose to just try to let it subside for the sake of Hunter. That's it.
That's a good idea.
My opinion of Allison will never change, period. But I'm not going to talk ill on the dead when it comes to her. And I'm not going to sit there and say, yeah, we were homies and besties before she passed. No, we were just at that level of acquaintances, basically. Like, we'll talk here and there, but outside of that, go fuck yourself type deal.
I see. People get their backs up over a lot of clips that people have accumulated online. Ink says, do you remember that towel clip out there where you told your daughter, there's nothing average about a dad that tells their daughter that getting out of the shower to get her own towel? I'm sorry, that's not average. You have some special towel rules around there that the kids weren't.
Because the kids like to leave their towels lying around everywhere and anywhere. So we decided, since
get funky.
Yeah, we have in the house. He has one. I have one. The kids have the rest.
Yeah, we have like 70 towels, and the wife and I only have one towel a piece that we use. And it's like, how the hell did you blow through that many towels to come get one of ours? No, go get one of the others and dry yourself off.
I agree. I don't like shit on my towel. I've got rules too that get broken all the time, but they're usually because I use a lot of the towels that I throw out, and they end up getting somehow being used as a towel that shouldn't be being used because it's on the floor.
Because they would throw it on the floor, step on it, whatever. Like, bro, you're not doing that to my towel.
Yeah, the one I use when I get out of the shower, I like my own personal towel myself. It's just right. I get it. It's a feeling about being clean. I get it.
It's like, my towel is my towel, dude. Like, come
That's
on.
That's my towel. That was a hot mic moment. That's okay. You got your right. That was from Ink.
I mean, to a lot of people, when I said that when I was live, it came off really fucked up. But understand, we have a lot of towels. Like a normal house, you have a lot of towels.
Andrew, holy shit. How old was the gal that went to jail? She's so young. And you have a 9-year-old with her. So how old was she when you got her pregnant?
18.
I counted to 15. I almost panicked. I panicked there for a second. I'm like, oh, how many?
No, she was 18. The child that she slept, the person she slept with before me was 16, and I didn't know anything about it until after the fact. And I got people showing up to my door looking for her because she did this. So I said, see the fuck bye. And I ain't turned back since.
You can't give excuses. They're excuses. They're an answer. Things get, you're not, I'm not vilifying him in a sense. There's a lot of bad clips out there. It can be taken a certain way, especially with people who are panicking. But hey, people have a right to their own opinions in that sense. Andrew doesn't mind clearing that up, it seems.
Yeah.
Another child court papers wasn't filled by the mother on Andrew's behalf. We've heard this same story about Hunter, April C says.
I'm sorry, huh?
I'm not sure what that means exactly.
Neither do I. You got me messed up there. Can you explain that a little bit, please? I mean, I got the legal paperwork. I just don't show it. I got legal paperwork on. I still have the legal documents for Hunter. I got the legal documents for my 18 and 17-year-old. I have no legal documents on my 12-year-old because there isn't any other than child support. And I have the legal documents for my 9-year-old. If she was 18, another was 16, that yes, it is a problem if the mother turns her, if the mother of the younger one turns them in, it is a legal problem. And I don't know that whole situation, just saying.
That's a good one too. Well, was there some confusion over that raising of money to go down and see Allison when she was
I did send it all back. I sent it all back because I wasn't going to go down there. Because he was telling me and the world one thing while going behind the scenes texting my mother another thing. And
that's right too. I remember.
I wasn't going to play that game, so I sent all the money back. And I by no means did I ever have any control of Hunter's Cash App. Whatever was sent straight to him is on him.
Ruthless. Ink's ruthless in the chat.
Oh, it's fine.
Let me see. Here, chill. Let me see.
My kids get out of shower all the time. They stay in there fucking ever.
This Jose Roman. So Jeffy knows Jose from work? Or were they romantically involved?
No, they weren't. Jeffy met them through a next door neighbor. Yo. Yeah, Jeffy met him through a next door neighbor because it was his father. I guess the next door neighbor and Jose, they were father and son, had a falling out, and the next door neighbor asked if Jose could stay with Jeffy. Jeffy said sure. He didn't care. And that's how that started. So they were just roommates. Jose was just your typical drunk and smoked weed and basically was a miserable drunk.
Really?
I never went down there and I didn't take any of that money. The only money I made off of that was through monetization. Outside of that, I didn't make no money. And the only reason why I knew what Justin was wearing is because I was watching his live stream.
You know what? Next time that you decide to do something like that, just go and do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you had just gotten instead of talked about it and tried to raise money for it, if you just went, it would have went swimmingly. People would have been donating left, right, and center to you. You wouldn't even have to say anything.
Okay, you see birth dates, dates, and everything. So Allie didn't file the paperwork? No. Allison did not file any other paperwork from New York into Tennessee because Tennessee is not what you call a sister state. A sister state is where basically whatever court order is done in one state and you go to the other state, it automatically implies the court order. Tennessee for the New York State court order that Allison had to follow. For it to be basically put in play in Tennessee, she had to pay $150 to do so, and she never did.
Do you think you've exploited the Hunter for financial gain over Summer Wells in this situation?
No, that was not my intention. My intention was to come up and protect my son.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's a fair question as well, because
and then I got caught up in the rigmarole and the drama.
You got to get used to answering that question because it's a fine line in that sense.
Yes.
Like you've got no other recourse. Like you're involved whether you like it or not in that sense. But you've been not shy around a camera, right?
No.
And you've been more than preemptive and proactive in taking charge or seeming to take charge in certain situations that does look like you're after a certain way, because everybody says the same thing. It's just rhetoric, right? Coming back your way, but it's not wrong in that sense either. It's
No,
just
I mean, I can
goes
see
there.
how that shit looks, but no, when I first came up here after I left, because I started my channel in 2014 and tried to get into the gaming world because I love gaming, and I stopped doing that because I went on and did the party thing and everything else and had kids and blah fucking blah, and then I came back and then I started doing lives to protect my son. I do it a different. I got a sunny disposition on shit. I am defensive 110% when it comes to my family. First thing when somebody says something about my family, I'm quick to jump to the defensive. You've seen it, AB. Everybody's seen it.
Well, in comparison to things that I've seen in the Summer Wells case, it's less than. It's not up there around how bad Q Carlock and people throwing around these funds. Like, I saw it in the peak, and it doesn't compare. Like, you have a right to have a channel at the end of the day, and you can talk about whatever you want in that sense. I've seen some things that are questionable. You're not really all that shy in asking for money. Dry begging's quite solid in that sense.
Yeah, listen, I ain't gonna front. At one point in time, I was starting to believe the rumors and the jargon when it came down to my son. Yeah, I was starting to do it. I mean, some of the shit that was put out here about him, bro, got me even twisted.
I've got an interesting question for you, Andrew.
What's up, bud?
So let's talk about the inappropriateness of the relationship that Hunter and Candace Wells were engaged in, or let's speculate about it.
I turned them in.
Well, no, that's not where I'm looking. I mean, what are your true feelings about it? Like, as a father, seeing that kid and coming to learn that, how does that make you feel as a father?
It pisses me off. It still pisses me off because the messages that everybody threw out there still does occasionally here and there. Listen, it still gets me fucked up because it's not a proper conversation. However old fucking Candace is.
What questions does it force you to make? Like, what questions?
Like, what are they really doing outside of smoking and drinking? Like
what else is going on?
Yeah, and I turned around and I did file reports. They just came back unfounded. I was never on that hill. I'd never been to that hill, just to clear that up.
You and Candace don't even know one another in that sense.
No.
Were you engaged much like you were obviously texting back and forth with Hunter and played video games with him? So I have to think that you also were on his Facebook or something. Did you not notice any of the posts that he was tagged in?
I don't go on Facebook. I go on Messenger.
You didn't notice anything?
You'll catch me shit posting here and there once in a minute, but I usually just use Messenger. I don't go on Facebook like that.
So from your perspective then, looking at she just fit the bill with one of the reasons why you detested Allison and her family in that sense.
Yeah.
That was an extension of Allison and her family to you because they were involved in their lives for quite some time.
Well, I didn't know anything about Candace in the background. Court order states what she does with him is when she has him is between them, and what I do with him when I have him is between us. Unless it's doctors or schooling, every outside shit was their own.
So who made the connection? Is Allison key to all of this in introducing how everybody like Don, Candace, 110 Ben Hill Road are obviously friends with Hunter and Candace, and that's how you get involved in all of this, and there's nothing more?
It was actually Allison's mother that first met Grandis when I believe they were working together. And that's how that whole crew met. And when we were trying to move down there, we met Candace because Candace was the one that drove Allison to where we were.
At the rental place?
At the Dollar General, because we had to get the
Dollar General?
Yeah. Because we were looking for hotels because it said, hey, it's not going to be ready for 3 days. when we first rolled in at like fucking 8 a.m. And that was after, and we already packed up and left because previous to that, we already got to go ahead to go. So we packed our house and the kids and us adults and left to go down there. Wrong fucking timing. All the hotels were way too expensive or full because NASCAR was in Bristol at the time. It was a makeup race because the one they were supposed to do in Bristol got canceled earlier that year.
So what date was that you guys went down exactly? Was that in October, September? September 18th?
Yeah, September 18th.
2020.
19th. Yep, 2020.
So that was lockdown. That was during COVID.
Yes. We technically we could leave the state, but
that would have been a contributing factor to why the hotels were taken up too. Like they filled hotel rooms with everybody.
Yeah, but we could leave the state, but to come back into the state, given that Tennessee was on New York's no travel thing without quarantine, we had to, when we got back to New York, all of us had to quarantine for 2 weeks because we left New York to go to one of their, I guess, no travel spots without quarantine.
So this, where exactly does Jose fit into this? So when you guys got down there, did Jose just choose? Did he take a liking to Grandis or Candace?
Not that I knew of. He, as far as we knew, he was set up to go to the Philippines, way before we left. And
how can he be set up to go to the Philippines when he's a criminal and not allowed a passport in that sense? Is he dual national?
I don't have a clue. I don't know how any of it came to play, other than he was internet dating a Filipino woman.
So it sounds like he was active in like catfishing people online and romancing them and moving in with them. It's not this first time. He's a bit of a couch surfer in that sense.
A bit, yeah. I could, to label it, yeah. But
so you obviously saw his advertisement on a trans prostitution website.
No.
What are your feelings about that?
I didn't know anything about it. Whatever he did on that phone,
that profile is real. That profile was real.
Like I said, whatever he did on that phone he had was between him and God.
Okay. I'm not holding it against you. I'm just picking about how much you know about this Jose Roman. So you didn't know about his history and his family's like hardcore drug convictions for transporting fentanyl up and down the interstate and car batteries?
Nope. But that, I mean, the Jose I knew was a sappy drunk and was always drinking. So that's the Jose I knew. He never seemed to have much of, other than that, he was basically never left the house unless he went to work.
Where did he work?
He was working at the local linen factory.
Linen factory? Yeah, like you guys make gloves and all of that stuff in Gloversville, don't you?
Not so much anymore. A lot of the
historically speaking.
Yeah, historically speaking, dude. Yeah.
That's why they call it Gloversville, I think.
Yep.
But anyway.
It went from Stump City to Gloversville because they started producing gloves and then changed the name. So it's an interesting history, but a lot of the buildings don't stand anymore either. Fucking teenage bastards.
They're old Victorian era buildings.
Yeah, a lot of them have been burning down.
Nice,
lately.
They used to make nice flats like you used to if you put enough work into them, but that's a fucking ton of work. They're not very energy efficient. No air circulation sucks in them.
As for April C's
they look cool.
What it was is that in the months prior to us going to Tennessee, Jose was set up to go to a cannery in Alaska and then off to the Philippines. So we took it.
He potentially could have done something like it's hard to believe that he has a passport to do that, but Alaska is still the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, he could easily get on a fishing boat and go somewhere. He doesn't necessarily have to fly. He can get onto a boat and get out that way through, Alaska would be your easiest bet because nobody's asking any questions, or it's easier to
But
probably
see,
skirt the law.
At the time when Jose said he was going to stay, I just thought, okay, well, maybe it's closer to maybe it's just because it's a bit closer to where he's got to go, where he ultimately has to go to get on on a plane to get to Alaska or whatever. Because I don't fucking know. It was a weird story in itself. He had apparently he had to make his way to California and then make his way to Alaska from there. So I just took it as he said he was staying. I'm like, all right, dude, I don't care. I'm too tired. I'm loading up our shit back in this fucking U-Haul, and I'm going back to where I belong.
So he must have really been dedicated just to
Penske
skip 2 states and say, I'm just going to hang out here with my new friends, Candace and Grandis.
Yeah, well, listen, the offer wasn't just extended to him. It was extended to all of us. And I said, fuck no. I told Allison, listen, I don't know this woman worth a shit. I'm not bringing my kids around her. Fuck you, this ain't happening. And then it came down to a collective to where
would she have put everybody?
Apparently in tents across the whole yard.
Well, I guess it's September.
And I said, but listen,
you would have slept beside the dog shit.
No, fuck all that. I said this straight up. It's like, nope. Me, my wife, and Jeffy sat there, discussed it, and ultimately we said, well, listen, we're not finding a hotel in town. They say the place ain't ready for 3 days. Fuck this. We're way too tired to give a shit. Let's go get our shit back in the Penske truck and let's go home. And that's exactly what we did.
So I think from your perspective, they're just, you wouldn't necessarily be looking for anything suspicious any one time while you're there, would you? So it's difficult to really have things stand out to you. I get that. At
that point in time, dude, like an 18-hour trip, barely any sleep. Like, bro, I don't get. It's like the whole world is like, no, I don't care today.
Well, let me ask you about. Hold on, it slipped my mind.
It's okay. That happens to a lot of us.
So Hunter, something about Hunter or Candace and the inappropriate relations, but I can't remember now. I apologize. I had it and then I got distracted by a question. No, yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, Sweet Tea.
Listen, there was other things that made me completely not like Candace from the word jump, and I've been stating that for years.
Oh, I know what it was, Andrew. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I know what it was. It bothered me that I couldn't remember. I want to know what you think about True talking about how Summer was brought to Allison's and
their family's the thing. I can't get
overdose story.
I can't get it verified.
Well, how does it make you feel? Number one, don't worry about it. Like, how does it make you feel?
I take it with a grain of salt, if you want my honesty, because I can't get it verified by anyone that was around at that time. I cannot get that verified, period. So to me, it sounds like it's just something possibly bullshit.
Something that True made up. But True. Is she known to make up stories like that? Would she have made that up in that situation?
I don't know her like that. At least not anymore, or at that time. Not since they lived up here. I ain't known True like that.
How did you get to know Allison?
She was screwing my ex-friend, and I went to jail. He thought he was going to screw my girlfriend that I was with at the time. So when I got out, I screwed his, and poof came Hunter.
Well, at least it was there was a reason for it.
listen, I ain't gonna. I gotta tell you. I went over there. I was high as fuck, a bit drunk. We started talking. She kicked him out because he started being a dick. I sat down, started playing Need for Speed Underground 2 for PS2, and poof, 9 months later came out Hunter.
It's been love ever since. Parental bliss.
No, actually, it's more been of a headache than anything.
So how was Allison to deal with? Like, what sort of mother do you think?
She would have been. I gotta honestly say she would have been a much better of a mother if she didn't let her own mother and her grandmother control the situation.
So did they all live together?
Yes, up here, yes. Down there, the mother didn't. The great grandbun did for a little bit until Allison finally got her ovaries out of her purse and told her to go get her own place.
Could you imagine all those generations in that house? That's kind of cute. It's actually kind of sweet in a way.
But Grandbun always had a vendetta against Hunter because he has a.
But you could see how weird it could get for somebody, because it's like there's definitely some fucking collusion going on. There's definitely conspiracy going on within those walls at all times, and that's what a good family is for, of course, right? I mean, but aside from that, if you're trying to break in, you have to get liked by 3 generations in order to, well, it probably is the same for a lot of people in that sense. But so Grandbun has always been meddling in other people's business and kind of manipulating and organizing.
It was basically you do as I tell you, or I don't know. I got nothing.
She seemed very opinionated, didn't she?
Oh, no. She seemed very fucking controlling.
She grouchy, smoking her cigarettes, drinking her Mountain Dew.
Yeah. She's very fucking controlling. I mean, if I look back at it now, right? And understand, if I was to understand what I do now a few years ago, I would have most likely made it to where Grandbun wasn't allowed around my son. Because I'm looking at how controlling that woman is. And Allison, like I said, would have been a way better of a parent if she would have stood up to her grandmother sooner. But I don't flaw her.
So let me ask you, what was the reasoning why they'd all lived in the same roof in that sense? Like, does it have to do with Social Security or the like?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I was around long enough to visit with Hunter and to give Hunter things that he would need, like the little Einstein setup, stuff like that, to help him grow in his development. And then I was out like a fucking tree. I would avoid that woman like the plague. And by the way, April C., I don't know where you're getting this information about a shooting. My son was never questioned about one. I can tell you that right now. He was never questioned about a shooting.
Yeah, people are talking about that. I don't know anything about it.
Because April put out a thing saying that Hunter is a fugitive,
trying to raise money and skip state.
Yeah, but nobody's looking for him.
I'm pretty sure I trust law enforcement in keeping an eye on something they're worried about running. If they're worried about a flight risk, I'm pretty sure that they have that covered now.
Listen, I really don't flaw Allison. She did the best she could with the circumstances she was in. Do I like her choices that she made while she was in those circumstances? Fuck no. That would have pissed off just about anybody. Just saying. I mean, That could be one hell of a good reason why Allison's other sister moved the fuck out as soon as she could. And
so this inappropriate relationship, it looks like, really centers around the grandmothers in this relationship from what you're describing. Like, if you look at Grandis and Candace, you're saying that they had an initial relationship. And when you look down, both of them are in very similar situations over what's going on that hill. What other sort of connections do they have up on that hill? We know that these two ladies, or at least Grandis, likes to knock boots and get high at such a young age. Or at such an old age around such young people on that hill out in her trailer. She has midnight rendezvous. And she hightails it out of there at first chance.
Yeah.
She's got a history of, she has a real history of having direct sex offenders and people in her immediate. And she seems like the person to be in everybody's fucking business, right? That's why she's there in the first place.
Yeah.
She's, you know,
See,
and she's the one that probably thinks that she allows all of what goes on in the family to happen. And she's there as the overseer, perhaps.
Yep.
Maybe the grand bun as well.
But see, the way I see this, okay, is that I have a lot of opinions because I've been dealing with that family for 19 years. Except for that short 5 years that I couldn't find them. But that just happens. Yes, I went over on I was traveling on the 4th of May. I was going down to Staten Island because I heard of a cemetery that if you drive through it at a certain time of night, a ghost girl will pop in your back seat, give you an address to take her home. And then when you got to that address, she would disappear. So I got nosy and I went down, me and my brother went down to go check it out.
Did that come through your spirit box?
We don't have one of those. But we do have a recorder.
The haunted doll.
I got 3 of them fucking things. Now, but still. So when we got down there, come to find out that the cemetery was getting locked up at 5:00. We got down there at 4:30. So we were like, okay, whatever. We walked around a little bit. And then we went back, drove out, and then we weren't in a hurry to come home. So we decided we were going to just go do a drive-by by Rose's house just to be dickheads. It was because we weren't in a hurry to go home. Well, I misjudged before I left the house that morning of how many cigarettes I needed to roll. So I popped into Mama Bear's were like, yo, can anybody send me $20 for smokes, please? I'm dying over here, and I still have 4.5, 5 hours to get home. And Fred sent me $20, says, here, get cigs. I know how it is. And that's as far as that went. Outside of a few questions that I had that I wanted to verify with him about the Marlena shit. And that was all that was it. I'm not on a constant day-to-day thing. What did I say?
I'm just reading comments and giggling.
Well, listen, Ink's not wrong. I would have most likely shit myself. You are correct.
Oh, it sounded like great content.
Reason to tune in. I didn't. To answer that question, I didn't send anybody over there. I told them not to go over there, but they did anyway.
You and your wife were questioned about a woman that disappeared in your area?
No, not by police. Never by police. We were way too young to even know what the fuck was up.
So how long have you known your old lady that you're with now?
You're 4 months younger than me?
Yes.
Since she was born. So I was 4 months old.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it was a setup.
My mother used to babysit him.
My
Are
you
mother,
sure you guys aren't related?
No. My mother
know?
and her mother used to be best friends, and her mother was my babysitter because my mom was working a lot.
Maybe you were switched at birth.
No, I was dropped on my head. There's a difference. I got the scar on my forehead to this day to prove it.
We've all had head injuries in that sense.
Right. But no, my mother and her mother used to be best friends back in the day. And my mom worked a lot because my sperm donor was out drinking or OTB betting. And her mom would babysit me even though she was pregnant for the old lady. And I was a very colicky child until her mother brought her home from the hospital and laid me down next to her. And she has a picture of me cuddling up with her and passed out and very, just comfortable. And yeah, there you go. And
that's so sweet. That's so sweet. So would there ever be a breaking point where you two would ever consider being apart forever?
Us break up forever?
Yeah.
We tried that once.
Oh, did you?
13 years ago.
Yep, 13 years ago. Because Andrew chose his drug habit a little too much and was ultimately turning out to be something I didn't want my kids to see or be around, so I took myself out of the equation.
I gave you the option: your drugs or your kid. You chose drugs.
Yep. But next year will be a decade clean. Next year will be a decade clean.
That's a decade clean. So that's pretty solid. You got a solid foundation in that sense, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not like you just went to eHarmony and met her a couple months ago.
No. I mean, her and I, we've
been back together for 5 years.
Yeah. We've been back together 5 years. And the thing about that is that before I got back with her 5 years ago, I was doing the street life, doing the street thing. So when I say I jumped, literally overnight, I went from doing the street thing to into a family life. It was literally overnight. Like, that was it. I called her up, asked if we could start dating again. She said yes. I dead stopped the streets. And
did you say yes right away?
Yeah.
I bet she regrets that.
No, not really. I mean, we have our
not out loud. Some days.
Some days, yeah. Well, any typical relationship you regret getting.
What does the wife think about? Are you guys technically actually legally married?
Yes, we are legally married.
As of when? Last year? That when you had that wedding ceremony?
Yep, it's all over YouTube, and we also had.
Hey, go in the bedroom.
Oh,
so that was actual legal.
Yes, it's on the tattoo kit.
Yeah.
All right.
Buy the tattoo kit.
All right.
Well, congratulations. A lot of people go through life and don't find anybody.
Hey, there's nothing but a tattoo kit. Got it. It's right here, babe. Can I just show him?
Yes, that's why I told you to go get it.
All right. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn my camera on.
Boom.
Here you go.
Marriage certificate.
Hold on. What's that? Let me see.
The marriage certificate.
Oh, that's a marriage certificate. Congratulations.
Yep.
So do you know that you can actually legally sell her now? Not she's your property, technically.
No, she'll turn around and tell you not happening because she owns me. That's what she'll tell.
I appreciate that, sweet tea. Thank you, darling.
Hey, I still have to listen. You still got to remind me to pay that $50 to get my legal stuff.
They're saying that you haven't been sober for a decade. There's no possible way that you've been sober for a decade. What does sober mean to you? What does that actually mean?
I've been clean. I've been clean from drugs.
Oh, clean from the hard drugs.
Yes.
Not the Bud Lights or anything.
No. That was New Year's Day, New Year's Eve of this year. Was the last time I took a sip of alcohol. Me and Bone sat here and celebrated New Year's Eve together, and then after that, I haven't touched it since. I still got a quarter bottle of Bacardi sitting over by my desk.
Well, that's a good place for it. Wash the floors with it. Disinfect.
Actually, I leave it there as a reminder that I don't need it and I don't want it.
So you guys have one child together?
Yes.
You're not lying? Okay. That's interesting.
The 12-year-old is ours.
So what does the old lady say about all of the excuses you have for not working?
I don't give a flying fuck.
Yep. There's the answer. She don't give a flying fuck. We are.
You got it pretty good, man.
Have him stay home so I don't have to fucking pay childcare.
Yep.
Why is that so hard for people to understand?
Oh, I can understand that. I pay for it.
I know you're over it, dear. Sorry. She's more emotional about shit than I get.
Hey, you're for like a listen.
Childcare.
Nobody's saying that both of you have to go out and work. You want a strong somebody at home, mom or dad at all times with the kids raising them. Even
not really a hot.
Not even that good is better than nothing, right? So there's that. I'm for you, dude. I'm not about all of that.
Oh no, I'm just saying when we grew up with outside of her mom being my babysitter when I was outside of her mom being my babysitter at one point when I was a baby, but after our parents stopped talking to each other, my mom got other babysitters and it never turned out good. I've always been against them. Like I had a babysitter once that duct taped me and my brother and threw us in a closet.
And then what?
Then she got arrested and my mom almost killed her.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
Because
so she was serious about that.
yeah, like this was back when I was like 7, 8. I was still a young buck.
Oh wow. So you're taking. Oh my god, that's scary, dude.
That's why I have damn near every light in my house on at night, and I don't sleep without a TV.
And you believe in possessed dolls? It's not really possessed, dude.
Yup, that
It's
bitch.
not really haunted.
Listen, AB, that fucking doll threw herself off my corner stand the one night after we talked about her.
Oh, that can happen. But let me tell you, and forewarn you that you can do things like magic through electromagnetic radiation. There's certain devices that will make you believe things in a certain way from afar, and you will believe in it. So you've got to be careful.
All right, so how does that work with a doll that's plastic and yard?
Well, you can go up and search what they call the Hutchison effect. It's an electromagnetic experiment. It's what Einstein called spooky science. I don't want to bore you too much with the woo-woo part of it, but I'm dead serious, and it has to do with what they call, and you can go search what they call essentially back in 1999 they used to call mental warfare, and how they use technology against unwitting participants currently in that sense. In other words, without being so direct,
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. If you go, the Hutchison effect is an experiment by a guy from Vancouver by the name of John Hutchison, who, fondly enough, is famous. It's not just somebody I'm making up, but he's famous in that he died under mysterious circumstances. But it all fits in line with a certain elitist agenda that has been suppressed ever since Tesla died, and a certain breakaway civilization grasped all of his research for their own benefit and keep the others hoodwinked under that. So that actually and one of these experiments, and if you cross-reference that with a lot of older MK Ultra experiments, and even what do they call it, the Brain Initiative today, it's just an extension of MK Ultra. They call it the Brain Initiative, but it's just a psychological experiment.
Thank you. The old ladies in there,
where they essentially use these same weaponry. You're not going to know the name of them, even if I said it, but this sort of technology and these weapons against people, and have driven them insane. It's well known, well talked about in circles, and these people are made to look insane by essentially using electromagnetic pulsed frequency into your mind and fucking with you in that sense. But you can read into it.
She's looking it up now, actually. But no, actually, in New York State, we can leave our children home for up to 3 hours. How many hours? 2 hours by themselves. So if I was to work a 9 to 5 and the old ladies to work a 9 to 5, we'd still have to pay for childcare because they are both still under the age of 18. I know. It's fucking weird.
I should just go and search Gruck. I was going off my mind there.
No, you're good. The old lady's actually looking into it.
It should give you some things, and it'll pull up all kinds of other things for you to look into. But I said it because of the experiments that they pulled off successfully at that, where they drove this poor soul into insanity, like where the doctors couldn't discern whether or not it was a legitimate case of him being schizophrenic or not, meaning that they institutionalized this poor soul after they experimented on him without his informed consent in that sense, which is terrifying. And that just is an affirmation that's a weapon. So, and I don't saying too much on YouTube, but it's talked about it in certain circles that weaponry is indeed being used today in light of a lot of stores, like big box stores will use, or certain stores that propagate an electromagnetic wave at the people that come through the front doors to make them more susceptible to buy things in a better mood in that sense. McDonald's uses that. I'm not saying it's all over the place and it's pumping you, but the technology is out there and it's real and you can search it and look at it, but it goes hand in hand, and they can pump all of that in an array from a satellite, umpteen different places, no matter where you are. Right. So, you've got to put things in perspective in that sense when you start believing, and that's so in end from afar. Yeah. They can make you believe that doll moved, or they can actually move that doll through the effects as seen in the Hutchison effect, and you will think that your house is possessed or be convinced that there's shit going on, and you really are believing in something, and you're easily controlled in that circumstance. Okay.
Yep.
That's all it's really for. Disney World uses it, Sweet Tea says.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to get too far off in the crazy woo-woo part of it. That's all real what I say.
My kids are not my kids are not adults. My kids are 12 and 14. They do after school things, but their after school things are over by 3:30, and they're through my door by 4. And still no babysitters, thanks. And my wife makes way too much money for what?
Is YouTube gonna have an issue with us both working from home too?
No, my wife makes too much money for us to have food stamps. Thank you. Just clearing up some things in your chat, bud. So,
sorry, man, I was just away from the mic. I had to go get some.
No, you good. I was just clearing up a few things in chat. So,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, they're coming hard at you in chat. This April C.
Well, listen, my kids are good. They're showered, they're bathed. They got more than most kids. So I can say more than most kids do. And
I mean, you get it pretty hard from the audience.
Oh yeah, all the time because I'm like I was telling you, dude. I went from the street life to the home the home life literally overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids, man, they're good. The old lady, she makes way too much for us to even get food stamps.
Oh, we can tell. Like you put your fathering all over the internet. We've been around to judge.
I yell, I scream. Yes, I yell, I scream, I rant, I rave. Yeah, because
but you know what? It's a lot better than having no father, an absent father, an abusive father.
Right.
It could be a lot worse, but it's not that you want to compare that. But people, no matter what you do, are going to come after you when you put that shit out there like that.
Okay, and they're old, and like I've told everybody, Inc., my kids are 12 and 14. They know how to hook up the washer. They know how to run the washer. They know how to hook up a dishwasher. They know how to use a dishwasher. They know how to do all this. If they choose not to wash their laundry on their day after telling them repetitively, that is on them. I have to wash what is in the bathroom basket, my basket, and my wife's basket. It is not my fault. My kids on their days don't do their clothes and then want to complain they don't have. So it's like,
I've seen worse people for being unreasonable. Like, I mean, if there's nothing wrong with having rules, and no matter what those rules are, it's just about following them. No matter how silly they are or how silly they seem.
They're young. What better time to teach them how to do things?
But it's not like you're enforcing cruel and unusual punishment upon them like that. It's not.
Oh, you asked the kid. Oh, you asked my kids.
Somebody out there, it will be. Somebody out there will think it will be. Yeah, you have to roll with those.
Yeah. Okay. And 2 years ago, my kids. 2 years ago, my kids still knew how to wash their clothes. Still know how to do dishes, because these kids cook.
These kids argue with us who's going to cook dinner, us or them.
Yeah. These kids are installing the things they need to know in life so they don't have to be dependent on anybody, and they can do their own thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, at their ages, I was doing laundry, garbage, sweeping, mopping. I was doing shit too.
Yeah.
You want something, earn it.
So what the point in saying that, Andrew, is you don't need to focus or worry about that or let it concern you, because the fact that you're simply bringing it to YouTube, you should disregard it, because you're focused on people just judging you based upon whatever, and you have to roll with those punches. You have to take the good with the bad in that sense. You kind of got to disregard. People are just there to be naysayers most of the time, and it shouldn't bother you, because deep down you shouldn't have to prove it constantly for people in that sense. You're going to be under scrutiny like nobody's business.
Yeah. Listen, my 9-year-old who don't live with me knows how to do her own laundry and knows how to clean her own dishes. Like, I mean, come on. It's common sense shit that you should be teaching your children no matter what. And no, I have I have a preteen and a teen. So technically, you're saying their children years are over. They're preteens and teens now. Except for my 9-year-old. She's still a child. But I'm going to get scrutinized because it's not the way that they run their household. You know what I mean?
There'll be something wrong with it. There'll be something wrong with it.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you. She's short but sweet in what I was trying to say. My kids aren't bubble wrapped. They need to grow. Thank you, Deb. You said it better than my plan.
Shut the fuck up. You wouldn't let your daughter have a towel and couldn't use mommy's towel. You and your wife are fucking trash. Oh, fuck, you're getting it hard. Oh, my gosh. Sweet Sativa, you're bombing Andrew with hate, bro. Oh, my God. Oh, shit.
Can your kids paint your house? You asked my 12-year-old. She already has.
You guys have your points. I'm not. You guys are wanting. I understand when you're listening to all of this. You want me to be on one side or the other. Not on either side in this sense. I see from a YouTube perspective all the crap Andrew does in that sense.
He had a 3-year-old.
I've never had an opportunity to just discern my wandering eye by just simply asking a question. But no.
Yeah.
I can't. So I know that clip on YouTube about the towel argument in that sense.
Yeah.
But how much are you going to know from a little clip, right? How much are you going to get from a little clip that sounds really bad in a certain way in a moment in time?
April C, this latest one. The 9-year-old that you're speaking of is now 12, and that's my daughter. The 3-year-old little boy is my 9-year-old.
That's okay, though.
My youngest daughter, who is now 9, that 3-year-old little boy, that's her brother.
He's not 3 anymore.
But he's not 3 anymore. How old is he now?
6?
Yeah, he's 6 now. Okay.
Oh, April C. Listen, I was April. I'm probably the first person that was making videos scrutinizing Andrew's parenting and his wife's, only because of these little snippets. So I probably already have videos made about them out there. I'm not dismissing it at all. People can have whatever opinion they want. Like, I don't even want to form an opinion based off a 15-second clip or a 10-second clip necessarily, but there's been so many, it's hard not to ask questions, right? So, I mean, usually there's answers to questions and you can reassess after the fact. But if you've got information, of course, I'll probably love it to watch it. No doubt.
Explain that. Okay. So at the time, the 3-year-old boy who is now 5 is my now 9-year-old brother. At the time that the boy was in my home,
A friend of ours was staying.
a friend of ours was staying with us, and she had custody of the child at the time because the mother is a POS. And his father was in jail. Okay? So we were helping out a friend with a place to stay. And she happened to have custody of my youngest child's brother at the time. Because
just for the record, how many rules do you guys have around the house there?
What kind of rules?
No, just how many? Do you have a rough number?
Like 4 or 5.
How many rules did you like to follow as a kid?
None.
Exactly.
But I try. Don't get me wrong. My parents tried. I try. I mean, you gotta try.
Oh shit! Yeah, of course you've got to go through the motions. So you learn to lie young, don't you?
Oh,
sometimes.
No. But no. Listen. The only rule they have issues following is keeping their rooms clean.
Yeah, that's where it starts. Good habits and things like that.
Yeah. But like I said, when we were living in the last,
you teach by doing things with them, right? And cooking is an important household tasks are primary because obviously you're around your house all the time.
Yeah, no, I was out there. I was just out there the other day cooking.
You know, the trick is to get them to make you supper every night and like it. That's conditioning.
Law is breaking the law. Who broke the law?
That's not child labor. That's good kids. You're gonna be afraid to move them out. They've been such good cooks.
Listen, they asked me to teach them how to cook. I'm not going to tell them no.
Yeah, they cook. Now we argue. Now
Well,
all of us
like,
argue over who's cooking.
that's a breakfast skillet going every day, kids. Before I get up, you can have like bacon, eggs, a full English breakfast ready on the table by the time I get up.
No, breakfast is whatever they want. And dinner time, bro, these girls will cook a full 5-course meal if we let them.
So let's hit the hard question, Andrew. Give me a one line answer. Why do you think it's so hard for people to believe you about your trip to Tennessee?
Because it makes no fucking sense.
Because they're stupid.
Because it makes no sense. It's not your ideal thing, but shit happens.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, it's people. It's just, disappointing because people like to have reasons for things. You're really essentially telling us that it was pointless after all of it. It was for nothing. And people have a hard time digesting the fact that you get your kids and everybody together in this big convoy. Mind you, I mean, it was extreme situations. It wasn't like, it was COVID because everybody was together and not doing anything otherwise at the time.
Right.
So there's an exception. I don't, I can't say anything against it, even though I can't agree with any of it, but it doesn't mean that all of the speculation and the answers that come in my mind are necessarily true. Right. I believe that you didn't have much to do with Allison's family in that sense.
No. I mean,
so therefore, how would you have a real strong understanding on who Don and Candace were?
I didn't know anything about them even through phone calls or anything because they didn't mention them. Allison and Hunter never mentioned them.
I think it'd do you a lot of good if you helped people understand over the long term. Like, it's not so easy because there's no easy answer, but if you helped people understand the point and not avoid like the pointless nature of the trip in the first place, it would help out because, people are hung up on it, and it's a bastard.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's not like it was a quick decision just to pack up and go. No, we were literally looking for places to go down there, and we found one. Jeffy paid for it, and we got the green light to go down. So we did. And then when we got into Kingsport that morning, they got back a hold of us and said, hey, we need a couple more days. And given NASCAR was in Bristol, hotels were way more expensive. We didn't want to go to fucking Candace's house. So we said, screw this, came home. And then Jeffy got his money back.
So it was a deal that fell through in that sense.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
we have to accept your answer in that. People are going to speculate otherwise because it's a certain narrative. I'll still think about it, but now that I have an answer directly from you, I have a tendency to believe you in that sense.
Well, until I have a reason not to. There in front on it. I mean, that's.
Well, no. I'm not saying that you are. It's just I'm just being open about how I feel about it. It's like because your mind goes there, your mind wants to make connections that aren't necessarily there because obviously you're searching for something. But I mean, I can believe going on tours like that for no apparent reason, like especially in your life or doing these things that fall through because it's not like it's too out of your nature for things to go awry or fall through or seem crazy to otherwise. You have a certain way of living, like a different way one could argue in that sense. It's not out of your nature.
Well, listen,
to make impulsive decisions necessarily. And I can't see for the life of me it being for like a key, like a kilogram. Like people who operate like that don't usually behave like yourself and make a big scene about what they're into, especially on the internet, because simply of the potential dangers involved in getting caught. And I mean, if that's your thing, I mean, you obviously aren't made of a lot of money. You're not, a person that doesn't have a lot of money isn't necessarily connected to, let's say, closer to poverty than not in that sense. If you're buying keys, you obviously have some means and you're into business that's going to bring you great gains.
Well, listen, bro. If I had that kind of money, I wouldn't be living the way I am.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm just saying.
Just it's that's all. Oh, here we go. Sweet Sativa saying, "You're a liar. You traffic kids, in my opinion, because why have 6 kids and 5 adults move and don't? You're a fucking liar." Technically, I guess that's you trafficking traffic. You're moving kids across state lines. Your own kids.
I got pause. AB, I got this, bud. Okay, 2 of those kids belong to me and the wife. Jeffy and his girlfriend. Okay, his girlfriend. The other 4 kids belong to her. She birthed them. Okay, and we were going down, and Jeffy offered for her to go with us because her baby daddy's a piece of shit, and she wanted her kids to get out of shitty ass New York and go somewhere where it's schools are better and it's sunnier and it's halfway between north and south, I guess. I don't know what the reasoning is. He just wanted her to go with her. So she agreed, and her brood came with us. So at the end of it, it was only supposed to be me, the wife, our kids, 2 kids, Jeffy, his old lady, and her 4 kids. But Jose said, "Hey, I'm going with you."
What do you think the reason is?
Oh, I'm sorry. If you want to count the one extra, we had animals. So I called those my kids too. Sorry.
What do you think the reason is that there's so many sex offenders associated with your family, and might have a follow-up to that with your family and maybe others in your immediate? Why there's such a controversy in that sense? And do you think it goes hand in hand with poverty and state being in your business? Do you think the pedos and the people that prey upon the more vulnerable go hand in hand with the corruption that occurs? And does it have anything to do with your scenario?
In my honest opinion, dude, I don't know what it's due to, but there's cats that I would swear by and protect back in my teen years that I don't even talk to now because of their choices of what they chose to do and got on the registry. Like, I don't know if it's out of boredom or what, but these people.
My question is a little deeper. I'm wondering, where do you think it comes from generationally? Like, can you look back to your mother, your parents? Were they single? Were they involved in the system? Were they being taken advantage of by other people, other strangers that penetrated into your life to abuse children in that sense?
No. No. As far as I know, my parents are not on the registry or RSOs or ever have been.
No one in my bloodline is either.
Andrew names the children and where they slept in a cheap motel. We didn't sleep in a cheap motel.
We got there at 6 in the morning. We left by noon.
We got there at I thought it was like 8 in the morning.
We pulled up to the storage unit at 8 a.m.
Yeah, we pulled up to the storage unit at 8 a.m. and we were out of there by noon o'clock. Can you, can you, who's my dad that's an RSO? Please tell me who my daddy is.
No, I don't know. I was just wondering. And I'm just thinking that there's so many RSOs that you brought up in front of us on YouTube. For example, Bones's blood father, who he doesn't associate with.
Yeah, that's only because
there's Josh.
Well, yeah.
There's all these other hilts. So maybe it looks like there's more than one, perhaps.
Well, like I said, the only reason why I even brought up
what leads them to their well, we know your brother was what was the story with Josh? What happened there?
Mom, up here 17's legal. Just so you know. New York State 17's legal. Mama Dukes didn't like Josh. Mama Dukes turned him in.
Even though she knew
okay.
Even though she knew they were together, Mama Dukes turned him in because he was 20 and she was 17. And then after he got out, after he got out of jail for that, his mother took him to Florida.
And they got married.
They got married a month after we did, which was last year.
They live happy. Are they happy?
Yeah, they've been together for 17 years. They've had 3 kids.
Yes.
Two pass. and one survived.
Okay.
But yeah. So, I mean, it's rare to hear an actual person on the list that actually really didn't do anything wrong other than a scorned mother. It's rare to hear, but I want to know who my dad is.
Who's his dad?
Who's my daddy? Other than my wife.
They'll come up with another name. Just give them about 10 minutes. They'll bring something together.
AB, I'm gonna give you a name in the back.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Lady J.
Now, don't forget the suffix, sir. You hear me?
Yeah.
Don't forget the suffix. That's important.
Okay. Like, is he on the registry?
No, but that's who my dad is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry, sperm donor.
That's a good country music name.
Yeah. But no, I was just letting you know, you got to have that suffix, bud.
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
If you don't, you're gonna find my grandfather, who is a World War II veteran that passed away some years ago. Just to give you a heads up.
Okay. Let's go know that. So I'll soon wrap this up, but let's finish up. What does Ink have to say? If you wear tight tights, we got to get some lunch going on over here at this house.
Right. Tight tights. I don't wear tight tights.
You still want to buy a pair of titties? Your wife and kids must be so proud of you, Pandrew.
My kids don't care.
Yeah, I think you're past that.
I think I quit drinking and stopped saying stupid shit.
That was a good advice. You took my advice then to stop that alcohol. It was the booze talking.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I also took your advice and adventured out more.
Yeah, it's showing in your content. Oh, that's fun. Taze, this is the definition of trailer trash.
Thank you.
How
I know,
dare
man.
you? How dare you? That's an American
I am trailer
resource.
trash, bro.
You truly have no filter, right? You just don't. There's nothing stopping any of that foul shit coming out of your mouth. Do you know what, Andrew? You should start pulling more tricks on people. You know that I started thinking that. You know, you should start pulling off more like starting more rumors in that sense. You know, acting out things in front of a camera, knowing that you're going to go live. Like you tell your wife to start like screaming something off the hook that's going to get people's attention, something that brings you like more satisfaction, that because you know that you're the one who started the troll instead of being on the other end of it.
Listen,
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having fun with your audience in that sense.
Actually, no. What is it? I was called a curb drinker. Never called gutter trash. I was always called a curb drinker, though.
Oh, that's so sad.
You know what a curb drinker is?
Way better than these so-called parents. Well, you're hard.